Hi, this is Gary Rosenzweig from Flash Game University at flashgameu.com, and today I have for you a simple video example of how to use sound in ActionScript 3 in Flash 9. So we're in Flash 9, and I'm just going to create a brand new Flash file. I'm going to make sure it is an ActionScript 3 file. Great. Now I'm going to import the sound. So in File, Import, Import to Library, I'll select an example I have ready. It's called Sound Example. It's an MP3 file, but you could use almost any format. Now I'm going to look at the library window and see where it is. I can sample it, and most importantly, I can get information about that sound. This will bring up the Sound Properties dialog. Most important thing I need to do here is click Export for ActionScript. This will allow me to assign a class name that I can use to access this inside of ActionScript. So I want to give it a good sound name, so I'm going to call it Laser Blast. There we go. And I click OK. Now I've got it all ready for access in ActionScript. Next thing I want to do is a simple way to trigger the sound. So I'm going to create a button just by drawing a box, selecting the box, pressing F8, and then I don't need to do anything to the symbol. All I need to do is select its instance on the stage, make sure it's a button, of course, and give it a name. So I'll just call it my button. So this is just something for us to trigger the sound. Great. Now I will click on the timeline, and we're going to put a simple script in the timeline. We won't create a whole class for this since it's just a simple example. I'm going to open the Actions window, and now I can begin programming. So first thing I want to do is assign a listener to the button. So it's called my button, and we'll add an event listener and have that event listener react to a mouse click, and when it does, it'll hit a function of ours which we'll call play sound. Great. So we just basically activated that button. Next thing we need to do is create this function that will play the sound. So we'll do function play sound. Now this is going to take, since it's triggered by an event, it's going to take an event as a parameter. And ActionScript 3 is strict about this, so we have to make sure we accept the event parameter even though we're not going to use it. Great. So now that we've got function started, all we need to do is create two things, a sound and a channel. The first thing we're going to create, we'll just call it my sound, and it's going to be a version of Laser Blast, which is the class that we created when we stuck the sound in there and gave it a name, the class name. And that's the type, and we're going to make it a new Laser Blast. Great. So my sound contains the sound now. So the next thing we want to do is play it. So we create a channel. We'll call this my channel, and it is of type sound channel, which is an ActionScript type. And what this is going to do is it's going to play the sound. So my sound dot play. There we go. Now we go ahead and close that function. So now we've got an event listener on the button that will then trigger the creation of that sound as an ActionScript object and then play it. So we can go ahead and test this movie. Let's save it first. And we'll save it just as sound example. And now if we test it by pressing, well, we can just do the menu item here, test movie. And now we end up with this. There's our button. We click it, and the sound plays. So that's successful. Another way we can play a sound is by triggering an external event. So what we want to do with that is first we need to load the external sound. So we do my external sound, and we're going to go and say that that's of a type sound, which is an ActionScript type, and it's a new sound. Great. Now we're going to go ahead and do a request for the external sound. That's going to be a URL request. and then we have to go ahead and give it the name of the sound that we used. There we go, and it's in the same directory as the SWF, so we don't have to give it a full path. Now we tell the sound to load and give it the request so it knows where to load it from. Now in our play sound handler, what we're going to do there that's going to be different is we already have this external sound, so we don't need to create it. We just do my external sound dot play. So what will happen here is the button will get assigned an event listener. Then immediately my external sound will be created, and it'll be of type sound. It'll be loaded in with what's in this file, and should be ready to go by the time we get to press the play sound, the button that triggers play sound. We'll save this, we'll run it, and we'll click. And there we go. And just to prove it's working, we can actually get rid of the library sound and do it again. There we go. So there's two ways to play sound. One is an internal library sound, and one is an external sound. You can do either way. The external sound is obviously better for longer sounds that may or may not get played by your movie, because there's no point loading in a bank of sounds if you're only going to play a few of them. So you may want to have those as external sounds, and then only load them if you think you're getting to the part of the movie that you need it. But you've got all the basics there to be able to handle sound playing in both ways. This has been Gary Rosenzweig with Flash Game University at flashgameu.com. Thanks.